As we celebrate Youth Day today and take a reflective and commemorative look back at the contribution of the youth of 1976, it becomes important to understand and dissect who the present-day youth are. What do they stand for? What are their internal and external politics, and what influences them? And who do they themselves influence? And how do art, fashion, lifestyle contribute to their sense of identity? We're going to try and answer these questions. And to help us gain a better understanding of the so-called Generation Me, as some term today's youth, I'm joined by Creative Director as well as Managing Director of Book of Swag, a creative youth agency that curates youth culture across Africa, Khathutshela, Bapela, and Thulane Radebe. Good evening, welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Much appreciated. And thanks again. We've been talking the politics of June 76 and the developments in the country on a political level and obviously having an impact on socio-economic issues. But one of the key things that has come out in my discussions with other people, including the earlier interview I did with Braseth Mazibuko, is that there is a gap between older South Africans who can relate to June 76 and most of them who were there, to the youth today. That, you know, we seem to be living in two different worlds. Is it something that you can relate to? You understand that we seem to be relating to South Africa and ourselves differently?
Yeah, I think it's true. I think the struggles are different. Although, like, we really hang out with Baba Stan, who is our driver from the office. He was there. Like, he tells us stories of how he used to run and what.
Yeah.
But he feels as though we are not in that same mind frame. But I think our struggle is a lot more different. I mean, we have the freedom now to express ourselves and to kind of dream bigger, whereas back in 76, I would imagine they didn't have that kind of...
Sure. And you know what? Actually, the fight, ultimately, if you remove the politics from everything, was exactly that. That people were resentful, were not happy that they could not dream or aspire to bigger things, right? And my sense is that there is an element of disappointment, so to speak, and correct me along the way, in the sense that the parents who could not realize their dreams, notwithstanding the effort to change the system, feel or expect that their children should be realizing those dreams. And in most instances feel that their dreams have been shattered or are not being attended to, at least through their children.
Okay, cool. And I mean, I agree with you 100%, and that's my lived experience. It's also Thulane's lived experience. But at the same time, I think it's worth mentioning that young people, and this is a mistake that a lot of older people make, young people are not a homogeneous group. They don't all think the same thing. They don't all like the same things. They don't all think in the same way. There is some young people, obviously, as you've seen with Fees Must Fall, that are involved in that, and that's what their passion is, and they're committed to that movement and that cause, and they want to bring about that change. And then there's obviously another group of young people that are interested in other things and are totally apolitical in every way, and they just want to make music and want to make fashion, and they want to create brands that they can sell to the world, and obviously with technology and social media they're able to do that, and that's what their passion is. And I know two of my friends in Soweto. I live in Soweto, in Diepkloof, and they are not the same. They are the same age, but they want to achieve the same thing. They want to contribute meaningfully to their community. But the other one wants to be radical and loud and want to be seen, and the other one just wants to work away under the radar, away from the spotlight. So I think it's important to know that they are not, young people are not one group.
Yes. You know, here's another thing. And please talk to that, is that in the past, parents felt that they were able to transmit the cultural values much more easily to their children then, right? It was a taken for granted thing, that notwithstanding your political awareness or whatever, you understand who you are culturally and what the values are of your family and so forth. I can tell you a little story. You know, my folks would say to me, you do whatever you please in the street, but never bring us into disrepute. You see, we gave you a name, and it's not yours, so don't go out there and embarrass us, do the right thing. It wasn't unique to me, it was a general teaching that,
It's different now. I mean, I would imagine that, of course, there's it's a noble thing to teach young people to say, be connected to your cultural heritage and don't ever forget your ancestral lineage, right? But then again, for me, like someone that has traveled and young people like that, I don't know if that's going to add value in my life today. I want to become a global citizen. I want to be at home anywhere in the world. I don't want to limit myself to just South Africa because I was born there. I don't want to limit myself to just Bapela because I was born there. And I don't know if that's how Thulane feels, but I know there's other young people that feel the same way. I'm a global citizen, and everybody's my family. So if there's any family name that I'm going to bring in to distribute, it's the human family name, and that's how I see it.
I think like that's very true. But also, when our parents were at our age, they didn't have so much stuff that was contributing to their lives. Like we get to see so many other things. I get to interact with 24-year-olds in New York in real time, and we get to talk about what's going to happen this weekend in Johannesburg, and we tell them about the history and the significance of the holiday that we are celebrating tomorrow. Although a lot of people will feel like, yeah, you guys are gonna go and drink, and that has nothing to do with June 16. You guys should be in the, should be doing something very like significant and responsible. But as young people, I think that's we hold on to that. Like we're still young. We're still very like allowed to make mistakes, and we're still going to make them. And there are so many contributing factors to what we become tomorrow, because it's our culture that we take from home, but also we are experiencing other people's cultures, and we borrow. We tend to borrow, and that's what we.
Now, you're onto something there. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, because you are dealing with a different environment. I mean, we must not forget that, right? We can't compare that time to now and say, let's do things exactly the same. There's technology, there's a change around the world, a global economy, and so forth. And at the same time, particularly in the black community, there are serious divisions, even amongst the youth themselves, isn't it?
They are.
I mean, there are the urban youth who enjoy the culture that is very urban, hip-hop, rap, and all those things. And then there's rural youth who don't even have the immediate thing, access to amenities and opportunities in the economy.
And you're right, that is the reality in this country today, and of course it's a sad reality. And if it was possible, if there's one thing that, like I said earlier, that young people are not the same, but I know that if there's anything that we have in common, even if the other like soccer and I don't, what we have in common, this generation, I believe, is that we really do want to give back. We really want to bring our brothers and sisters into this space and into these places that are inaccessible for them. And of course, that has a lot to do with politics. It has a lot to do with where we come from as a country. It has a lot to do with the leaders that we have today. And I don't know, like that's what the problem is. The problem is not the young people. The problem is that the leadership, corporate leadership, and even the academia, the media, the
leadership generally, the elders
are failing us.
I mean, we must speak truth to power.
I mean,
tell it like it is.
That's true. Like that, we feel like as young people, we have to kind of do it ourselves. Like, and this is why we started the business that we started, the Book of Swag, because it's about information at the end of the day, and we want that information to reach that people even in the most remote areas, because we know what it's like. We come from those environments. We come from households that didn't have information. And when you got to the city and you were like, what kind of a school is this? Why do you guys have like 3 soccer fields in one school? Where I come from a school where we have to share like a tennis court, between...
If there is, for that matter.
If there is a tennis court. And for me, that's like my mother also didn't know that, Even to her, it was a shock. And I was like, so, what do I do with that information now that I've experienced that? Do I then go back to where I come from and say, this whole thing is false? Like,
okay, we agree on one thing. The elders have failed the youth. That's how the youth generally feel. And then in return, what should the elders understand about the youth, which they may be choosing not to understand, because the environment has changed, right? We cannot be romantic, sentimental about 76 all the time. This is a new era.
What they have to understand first and foremost is that we know what we are doing. Because older people have this tendency to think that they know better and that we should listen to them. And of course, we're not saying we shouldn't listen to them. We're saying let's have a conversation. Let's discuss these things together. And don't look at it as, you still need to learn something. And of course, in other areas of life and maybe even business and politics, there's a lot that we still have to learn. But there's things that we know. We have ideas. We are a creative generation. And there's things that we can bring to the table that can move this country forward, that can move humanity forward altogether. So let's talk. First, elders need to understand that maybe we do have answers, maybe we do have solutions to our current problem situation.
Yeah, I think young people want to be engaged as equals in a conversation that has to move everybody forward. Because at the end of the day, the elders need to leave whatever's left to us. So we need to be able to control and steer the ship. And it's up to them to come to us to say, guys, we have this, you guys have this. How can we merge these two things together and then form a future for the next generation?
And of course, you must define the present and define your destiny.
Yeah.
The elders have carved a path up to a point, and then let's hear from you.
Somebody else needs to run.
I'll tell you what many of them will say. Say, okay, we're prepared to listen, as long as it's about how to use a cell phone.
That's not all we have to offer. Like, we have more.
There's much more than that, right?
There's a lot more.
There's so much more that we want to live in a South Africa that is diverse and that is transparent, where the leaders are held accountable, where they hold themselves accountable as well. And obviously we need to be conscious of what kind of society are we building, and we obviously want young people that are critical and that are thinking, that have access to quality education.
Let's end it right here, because the conversation must continue.
Yeah.
It cannot be a once-off day. It's June 16 now, and I really have benefited a lot from this engagement with you, but I need more of the same. Thank you very much,
Thank you so much
for having been our guests.
Thank you for having us.
This is June 16, 2016, and you heard for yourself how the youth today feel and think about their beloved nation. And that's our edition for tonight, and we hope you enjoyed it. And from us, good night to you.